listen to me right now. There is a version of you that you haven't even met yet, a stronger you, a more focused you, a disciplined, relentless, unstoppable version. That version only comes alive when you make a decision to stop settling for less than what you're capable of. You've been trained to believe in boundaries, limits set by others, rules made by people who gave up. Those rules don't apply to you anymore. You weren't made to fit in. You were built to break through. Most people live within their comfort zone because it feels safe. But here's the truth. Safety is an illusion. The comfort zone is the most dangerous place to live because nothing grows there. The body doesn't get stronger in rest. The mind doesn't get sharper in ease. And the spirit doesn't rise in routine. Growth requires resistance. It requires pressure. If you want to build strength, you need weight, and life will give you plenty. Challenges, obstacles, setbacks. But instead of running lean in, every time it gets hard, remind yourself this is where most people quit. And that's exactly why you won't. You must understand the only real limit is the one you accept. Your mind has more power than you've been taught. Every time you say, I can't, you're feeding a lie. You must, you will. But first, you've got to take back control of your thoughts. You've got to condition yourself daily because a weak mindset will never build a strong life. Don't wait for motivation. It's not coming. But discipline, that's yours to train. You can wake up early. You can do the hard thing. You can shut down distractions, stand in the face of fear, and take action anyway. That's how you win. That's how you grow. That's how you become someone you're proud of. Raise your standards. Stop settling for good enough. Demand more from yourself. Demand excellence. When you do, you'll find something incredible energy you didn't know you had. Focus you've never tapped into. Courage that was always inside you to be used. Push yourself to do the extra rep, to have the hard conversation, to write one more page, to run one more mile, to try again when everything tells you to give up. Because on the other side of that push is freedom, confidence, pride. And know this, every decision you make today is building your future. Every time you push past your comfort, you're laying a brick in the foundation of the life you truly want. No one else is coming to do it for you. It's you, your hunger, your standards. So push beyond fear, push beyond fatigue, push beyond your limits. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you were born for is how hard you're willing to push. We are taught from a very young age to seek safety. We're taught to be careful, to avoid risk, to stay away from failure, to do what's predictable and what's familiar. And that message, though it might come from a place of care, becomes a prison as we grow older. It becomes the mental boundary that holds most people back from discovering who they really are and what they're capable of. Because here's the truth. Comfort is not your friend. Comfort is a silent killer of dreams. The comfort zone is a liar. Promises you peace, but it gives you stagnation. It promises you security, but it builds walls around your potential. When you stay comfortable, what you're really doing is saying no to growth. You're saying no to change. You're saying no to the next level of who you could become. And here's the thing, no one escapes this. Every single human being has a comfort zone. It might be in your relationships, in your career, in your body, in your finances, in your thinking. But everyone has one. And unless you confront it, unless you deliberately step beyond it, you will live beneath your capabilities. Why? Because comfort feels good. It's predictable. It's easy. It's the path of least resistance. Brain is wired to protect you, and one of its primary jobs is to keep you safe. But safety does not equal fulfillment. It doesn't equal purpose. It doesn't equal passion, drive, or excellence. The life you dream of does not exist within the walls of what you already know and feel safe doing. Imagine this, you're standing in a small circle. Inside this circle are all the things you're used to, the routines, the habits, the way you think, the way you respond, the way you avoid discomfort. That's your comfort zone. Now outside that circle, just a few steps beyond, lies everything you've ever wanted: confidence, clarity, power, a stronger body, a sharper mind, more money, more love, purpose. But to access any of that, you must first leave the circle. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The minute you leave that circle, you'll feel fear. You'll feel resistance. You'll feel self-doubt. You'll start hearing the internal voices. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I embarrass myself? What if I lose what I have? That's normal. That's expected. But that's also the test. Most people do when those feelings show up is they retreat. They step back into what feels safe. They choose the familiar pain over the unfamiliar progress. And every time they do that, their comfort zone grows stronger and their belief in themselves grows weaker. But champions, leaders, those who rise, they do something different. They feel the same fear, but they lean in. They act anyway. They walk into the discomfort. It's the only path to the next level. Because what they understand is this: every great thing you want in life is just outside the edge of your comfort zone. Think about how the human body works. If you want your muscles to grow, you must put them under stress. You have to lift more than what's easy. You have to train past the point of comfort. That's how you create strength. If you stop when it hurts, you stay weak. If you keep going despite the pain, you grow. The same principle applies to your mind, your habits, your goals, everything. So what does this mean practically? It means you must make pushing past your comfort a daily discipline, not something you do once a year when life forces you into change, a habit. A mindset style. Start small. Take cold showers. Have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Wake up an hour earlier. Apply for that job you think you're not ready for. Go to the gym even when you're tired. Speak up when you usually stay silent. Take that first step when fear tells you to freeze. It's in those small, repeated decisions to step into discomfort that transformation is born. Because every time you do something uncomfortable and survive, comfort zone expands, and so does your belief in yourself. And here's what no one tells you: discomfort doesn't last forever. What once felt terrifying becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes routine. And that's how you grow. That's how you become the person who is capable of living the life you say you want. Not because it was easy, but because you earned it through consistent action. Comfort makes you soft. Discomfort makes you sharp. Comfort keeps you stuck. Discomfort moves you forward. The comfort zone is where your dreams go to die, not in some dramatic explosion, but in a quiet, slow fade where one day you look around and realize you settle. But here's the beautiful thing: every day you get to choose. Every morning you wake up, you can decide whether to do what's easy or what's right, whether to stay the same or to stretch, whether to hide behind fear or walk into it and take your power back. You were not made for a life of limitation. You were not created to play small. There is fire in you. There is strength in you, but you must activate it by moving through resistance. You must challenge the lies that tell you you're not ready, not good enough, not capable. Lies dissolve in the presence of action. The more you push your boundaries, the more you redefine what's possible. And over time, what used to terrify you becomes your new normal. That's when life gets exciting. That's when you realize there is no finish line, just higher levels of self-mastery and purpose. But it starts with one decision to break free from comfort and step into growth. So push yourself every day. Choose discomfort deliberately. Stretch your mind, stretch your discipline, stretch your courage. The comfort zone is a lie, and the life you deserve begins the moment you stop believing it. Everything you experience in life, your actions, your results, your failures, breakthroughs, starts in one place: your mind. The thoughts you allow, the beliefs you carry, the internal narratives you repeat, all shape the reality you live in. The truth is, most people are not limited by their physical circumstances, limited by their psychology. What you believe about yourself becomes the ceiling on your performance, your success, your relationships, your health, everything. If you've ever said, "Not good at this," that's just not who I am. I've always been this way. People like me don't win. Or I can't do that. You're witnessing your mind placing a ceiling above you. A glass barrier you can't even see, one you feel every time you try to rise. And unless you break through it, unless you rewire those beliefs, your results will always reflect those limitations, no matter how hard you try. Here's what people misunderstand. Your brain is always working to prove your beliefs right, even when those beliefs are working against you. If you believe you're not a confident person, your brain will filter your behavior through that lens. You'll avoid speaking up, you'll second guess yourself, and you'll hold back. And then when someone else gets ahead, you'll say, "See, that's just not who I am." But the truth is, it's not who you are, it's just who you've decided to be. Beliefs are not facts. Beliefs are patterns. Beliefs are conditioned thoughts, some formed through past pain, some inherited from family, some programmed by society, some picked up unconsciously over time. And if you don't challenge them, they become your operating system. Ceiling, let's take an example. Think of someone who's out of shape and believes they just don't have the genetics to be fit. Now that belief will shape every choice they make. They won't train hard. They won't change their nutrition. They won't stay consistent because deep down, they don't believe the effort will make a difference. That belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, not because they can't change, but because their mind says it's pointless. So they don't even try with full commitment. Now contrast that with someone who believes they're capable of radical transformation. They still struggle, they still fall, but they keep getting up, they stay hungry. They seek out better strategies. They don't wait for evidence. They create it through their effort. Over time, that belief creates a new reality, not because they had better circumstances, but because they had a better story in their mind. Your belief system is your foundation. It determines what you attempt, how hard you try, how long you endure, and what kind of results you expect. If the foundation is weak, the structure can't grow. So if you're not seeing the growth you want, it's not just about your actions, it's about the beliefs driving those actions. You've got to go deeper. One of the greatest powers you possess is the ability to interrupt your patterns, to say, "This belief doesn't serve me anymore," and to replace it with something stronger, something more aligned with the life you want to live. That's not just motivation, it's mental conditioning. And make no mistake, conditioning is everything. Confidence isn't a trait, it's a muscle. Grit isn't an accident, it's trained. Discipline isn't genetic, it's developed. Every time you act in a way that reinforces a new belief, you're strengthening it. You're shifting your identity. Identity is the most powerful force in human behavior. You will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. So if you want to lift the ceiling off your life, you have to lift the ceiling off your identity. Start saying things like, "A disciplined person, I'm committed to growth. I follow through no matter what. I am capable of changing my life." Even if it doesn't feel true yet, you speak it until it becomes real. You act as if. You step into the identity first, and the results follow, not the other way around. Understand this, your mind responds to what you feed it. If you constantly tell yourself you're stuck, guess what? You'll stay stuck. If you tell yourself you're resourceful, adaptable, powerful, you'll find solutions you never saw before. You'll see opportunities where others see dead ends. You'll make moves when others make excuses. This isn't about fake positivity. This is about building mental leverage, about recognizing that every excuse, every hesitation, every fear, that's your old story trying to pull you back. And every act of courage, every moment of clarity, every step into the unknown, that's the new story you're writing. You've got to become a master of your inner dialogue. Start catching the thoughts that limit you. Don't let them run wild. When you hear that voice say, "You're not good enough," stop and ask, where did that come from? Who taught me that? Is it even true? Most of the time, you'll realize it's not your voice at all. It's someone else's fear you've adopted. You are not your past, not your environment. You are not your doubts. You are what you decide to focus on, commit to, and believe in. And that decision is entirely yours. Train your mind like you would train your body. Feed it with empowering beliefs. Stretch it with new challenges. Strengthen it with repetition. Don't wait until you feel ready. Build the mental muscle that makes you ready. And every time you push beyond what you thought was your limit, you're telling your brain, "I'm more than I believed." Eventually, what used to scare you becomes familiar. What used to feel impossible becomes your new baseline. And that's when the ceiling disappears. That's when your mind becomes your greatest asset, not your biggest obstacle. So ask yourself right now, what belief is holding me back? What story do I need to let go of? What identity do I need to step into? And then start living from that place, not tomorrow, not next month, today, because your life will never rise higher than your mindset. If you want to change your results, you have to start by changing your beliefs. Your mind sets the ceiling, and the ceiling is not real unless you make it so. Break it, rewrite it, rise above it. Watch how your entire life expands beyond what you thought was possible. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, but most people spend their entire lives running from it, avoiding it, numbing it, pretending it doesn't exist. Here's what the average person never understands. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the signal. Pain is the entrance fee to strength, wisdom, progress, and real transformation. The people who grow, who rise, who evolve, they don't avoid pain. They embrace it, learn from it, and use it. Growth requires sacrifice. There is no version of personal evolution that comes without discomfort. There's no meaningful change that feels easy. Think about anything you've achieved in life that truly mattered, something that made you proud, something that pushed your limits. It probably hurt. It probably came with late nights, tough decisions, self-doubt, fatigue, and resistance. That pain wasn't punishment. That pain was the process. You see, we've been conditioned to believe that pain is bad, that if something hurts, it means stop. But in the realm of growth, pain doesn't mean stop. It means you're on the edge of a breakthrough. It means you're pushing into unfamiliar territory. And that's exactly where change happens. Take your body, for example. You don't build stronger muscles by lifting weights that feel easy. You build strength by tearing muscle fibers and allowing them to rebuild. That tension, that burn, that soreness, that's pain. And it's necessary. Without it, the muscle never grows. The same principle applies to your emotional strength, your discipline, your confidence, your mindset. If you want more, you've got to be willing to endure more. But not all pain is created equal. There's a difference between the pain that holds you back and the pain that grows you. The pain of regret, for example, is heavy. It lingers. It drains your soul. It's the pain of not trying, not starting, not showing up. That kind of pain adds nothing to your life. It only reminds you what you didn't become. On the other hand, there's the pain of discipline, the pain of pushing through fear, the pain of waking up early, saying no to temptations, showing up when you don't feel like it. That pain feels hard in the moment, but it builds something. It creates pride, momentum, self-respect. It's the kind of pain that deposits directly into your future. Pain is the currency of growth. If you want to grow, you must be willing to pay the price. Every breakthrough, whether in business, fitness, relationships, mindset, it requires discomfort. It requires you to confront your old self, to shed habits, beliefs, behaviors that no longer serve you, and letting go of those things hurts. But what's worse is the pain of letting go or the pain of staying stuck. People talk about wanting change, but most don't want the process that comes with it. Results without sacrifice, they want strength without struggle. They want confidence without failure, but it doesn't work that way. The path to greatness is paved with difficulty. The price is discomfort. And if you're not willing to feel pain, you're not ready for transformation. Pain is not something to be feared. It's something to be studied. When you feel it, ask, what is this teaching me? What am I learning about myself? What does this challenge expose in me? Weakness, insecurity, laziness, pride. Use that awareness. Let pain show you where you need to grow. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs you'll ever have will come in your lowest moments. When everything feels like it's falling apart, when your back is against the wall, you're exhausted, uncertain, scared. That's when you meet the deeper version of yourself. The one you didn't even know existed. The one that only shows up under pressure. That's the moment pain becomes fuel. When instead of retreating, you lean in. You say, this isn't here to break me. This is here to build me. And you keep going, even when it's messy, even when it's slow, even when no one understands. That's where the shift happens. That's where growth becomes permanent. Pain also reveals your priorities. If something means enough to you, you'll endure discomfort for it. You'll stay up late to build it. You'll face rejection to chase it. You'll go through hell to earn it. That's why people who are truly committed never quit when it gets hard. They expect the pain and they welcome it because they know that every rep, every rejection, every failure is a deposit, a payment toward a greater version of themselves. The person who succeeds at the end is not the one who felt the least pain. It's the one who kept moving through it. So the question is, what are you willing to suffer for? What is so meaningful to you that the pain of growth is worth it? You don't need a life without pain. You need a purpose strong enough to carry you through it. And when you understand this, everything changes. You stop avoiding the hard conversations. You stop dodging the gym. You stop waiting for motivation. Because now you see that pain as your ally, not your enemy. That resistance you feel is the signal that you're becoming stronger. That tightness in your chest before taking a risk, that's the stretching of your courage. That fatigue at the end of a long day, that's the price of progress. Every scar, every wound, every moment you thought would break you, they're not signs of weakness. They are signs of building, proof that you were in the arena, that you showed up, that you endured. And those who endure grow. The most powerful version of you is not the one who's never been hurt. It's the one who's been through the fire and kept walking, who's fallen blood, cried, and still came back stronger. So don't pray for ease. Don't wait for it to get lighter. Build the strength to carry the weight. Develop the mindset that says, whatever it takes. The pain you feel today is not meaningless. It's currency. Invest it, use it, let it transform you, because nothing worth having ever comes without it. And when it's all said and done, you won't be proud of what was easy. You'll be proud of what cost you something. If there's one truth that defines the quality of your life, it's this: you don't get what you want. You get what your standards demand. Everyone has dreams. Everyone has goals. The difference between those who achieve and those who wish comes down to one word: standards. What are you willing to accept from yourself? What will you tolerate? What's non-negotiable? Most people confuse goals with standards. They write down lofty goals. I want to get fit. I want to make more money. I want to be happier. But their daily standards don't align with those goals. They say they want excellence, but they train their body like someone who settles for average. They say they want success, but they wake up like someone who has nothing urgent to do. They say they want a meaningful life, but they make daily decisions based on comfort, not commitment. Standards are not wishes. Standards are what you commit to no matter how you feel. Standards are what you follow through on, whether it's convenient or not. A goal is something you chase. A standard is something you live. You don't rise to the level of your ambition. You fall to the level of your training. And your training is set by your standards. You have standards in every area of your life, whether you realize it or not. You have a standard for how clean your house is, a standard for how people treat you, standard for how you eat, how you move, how you speak, how you lead, how you follow through. And here's the powerful truth. Those standards are shaping your identity. They're creating the results you live with every day. If you want to change your life, you don't need a bigger dream. You need a better standard, a higher one. Because when you raise your standard, your behavior starts to align. And when your behavior aligns, your results change. It's not about doing more. It's about demanding more from yourself. Think about elite athletes. Champions don't train like everyone else. They don't hope to win. They expect to. And that expectation is backed by an unbreakable standard. They train when no one's watching. They eat for performance, not pleasure. They study the game. They review their mistakes. They suffer for inches of improvement. That's not about willpower. That's about a different identity, a different baseline for what's acceptable. Now compare that to the average person who trains only when it's convenient, who eats based on emotion, who stops as soon as it gets uncomfortable. That's not genetics. That's not luck. That's a difference in standard. One person has trained themselves to expect excellence. The other has trained themselves to accept mediocrity. And here's what most people miss: standards are not set once. They're reinforced daily. Every time you snooze the alarm, you train your standard. Every time you skip the hard conversation, you train your standard. Every time you make an excuse, even a small one, you reinforce a lower version of yourself. It's subtle, but powerful. The small things compound, and over time, they shape your identity. But the opposite is also true. Every time you do the hard thing, even when you don't want to, you raise your standard. Every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. Every time you act with integrity when no one's watching, you step closer to the person you were born to be. Changing your standard starts with a decision, a line in the sand, a moment where you say, this is no longer acceptable. That could be your physical health, your finances, your time management, your relationships, your effort level. The truth is, your life changes the moment you stop tolerating what's holding you back. You have to get brutally honest with yourself. Where have you been accepting less than you're capable of? Where have you been negotiating with your potential? Where have you lowered the bar to avoid discomfort? Stop blaming your past. Stop pointing at your circumstances. That standard was chosen, consciously or unconsciously. And if it was chosen, it can be changed. But here's the catch. Changing your standard doesn't mean the work gets easier. It means you no longer give yourself an out. It means your excuses no longer carry weight. It means your old patterns no longer have permission to lead. It means you're willing to endure what's necessary to build a new baseline. And yes, that will hurt. Yes, it will be inconvenient, But the freedom, the confidence, the strength you gain, that is worth every ounce of effort. Standards define how you respond to adversity. Some people quit when it gets tough because their standard is, I'll do it if it's easy. Others keep going because their standard is, I follow through no matter what. That difference shows up under pressure. That difference becomes visible in who bends and who stands tall when life punches hard. And don't expect others to raise your standards for you. Don't wait for permission. Your environment won't always support your evolution. People might understand why you're getting up earlier, pushing harder, saying no more often, prioritizing growth. That's okay. This is about you, not their standards, yours. You are training your mind, your body, your soul every single day. You know it or not, you're rehearsing a standard. So ask yourself, is this behavior aligned with the future I want? If not, raise it. One notch at a time, because here's the truth. The moment you raise your standard, the game changes. Not just externally, but internally. You start expecting more, demanding more. And when you expect more, you perform differently. Your new standard becomes your new normal. It stops being impressive. It becomes who you are. That's when your life begins to transform, not because of some big overnight win, but because you chose again and again to act like the person who lives with higher expectations. So make it non-negotiable. Set a new bar. Then live like your future depends on it, because it does. You must train your standards. They are the invisible force shaping every decision you make and every outcome you experience. When you raise them, life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. You become someone who demands more, does more, and becomes more. That's the power of standards. And the time to raise yours is now. Motivation is a great spark, but it's an unreliable engine. It comes and goes. Some days you wake up ready to conquer the world, and other days you don't want to get out of bed. If you build your life around the days when motivation is high, you're going to be inconsistent, scattered, and constantly frustrated, because life doesn't care whether you feel motivated. Your goals don't wait for your emotions to catch up. And the people who win, the ones who achieve, who transform, who lead, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's showing up when it's uncomfortable, when it's boring, when no one's watching. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is strategic. Motivation is about feeling good. Discipline is about choosing what's right over what's easy. And that choice again and again is what builds a powerful life. Think of the people who are the best in the world at what they do. Athletes, entrepreneurs, creators, leaders. Do you think they feel inspired every day? Absolutely not. But they've trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. They've built systems. They've locked in routines. They've removed negotiation from the equation. That's discipline. Most people are addicted to emotional decision making. Go to the gym if I feel up to it. I'll work on my goals when I'm in the mood. I'll have the tough conversation when I feel brave. But if your actions are dictated by your feelings, you will always live beneath your potential. Your feelings are temporary. Your standards need to be permanent. Discipline gives you freedom. Most people think discipline is restriction, like it's about sacrifice, suffering, saying no. But in truth, discipline is what creates real freedom. Discipline gives you control over your time, your energy, your future. It builds self-respect. It puts you in charge of your life, not your moods or your environment. When you practice discipline, you build a different kind of relationship with yourself. You start trusting yourself. You stop relying on quick hits of motivation, and you start relying on structure. When you tell yourself you're going to do something, you follow through, not because you're hyped, because that's who you are now. That's the foundation of self-confidence, knowing that you'll keep your word to yourself no matter what. Motivation is external. It's fragile. You can scroll through videos, listen to podcasts, read quotes, and maybe feel fired up for a few hours. But discipline is internal. It doesn't need hype. It doesn't need applause. It just needs a decision, a commitment, a pattern repeated until it becomes identity. Discipline is a muscle. You build it through repetition. And like any muscle, it doesn't grow without resistance. The days you don't want to do the work, that's the training ground. That's where discipline is forged. When you don't feel like showing up, you show up anyway. That's the rep that counts. That's the moment that separates amateurs from professionals. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need to flip your entire life in one day, but you do need consistency. You need to stack small wins, wake up when you said you would, stick to your workout, honor your schedule, follow through on your word, day by day, task by task. That's how discipline is trained. And over time, what felt hard becomes automatic. Used to require willpower becomes a part of who you are. And here's the shifty: when you truly live with discipline, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't have the internal debate every morning about whether or not to do what's necessary. You don't waste mental energy deciding whether you feel like it. You've already decided, and that clarity gives you speed, power, precision. While others are hesitating, you're executing. While others are overthinking, you're moving. Discipline is also how you keep going when progress is slow. Motivation usually dies when results don't show up quickly, when the scale doesn't move, when the money doesn't come, when the audience doesn't grow. But discipline says, I keep going anyway. Discipline plays the long game. Discipline plants seeds, waters them daily, and trusts the process. It's not obsessed with instant gratification. It's obsessed with long-term victory. Also notice that discipline has a compounding effect. The more you practice it in one area of your life, the more it spills into others. You start eating better, and suddenly you're more productive at work. You start managing your time. Your relationships improve. You train your body and your mindset sharpens. Discipline breeds structure, and structure builds momentum. Now let's be real. Discipline is not always glamorous. It's repetitive. It's quiet. It's often lonely. Won't be fireworks. There won't be people cheering you on, but the reward isn't external. It's internal. You become proud of who you are becoming. You wake up with a sense of purpose. You walk differently, think differently, act differently, because you're no longer reacting to life. You're leading it. You've got to shift your identity. Stop saying, I wish I were more disciplined, and start saying, I am disciplined. Don't wait for evidence. Start with a decision. Your actions will follow your identity, and the more you act in alignment with that decision, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you'll look back and realize you don't even need motivation anymore. You've built a system that sustains itself. Discipline is the separator. It's what takes talent and turns it into mastery. It's what turns goals into results. It's what turns potential into performance. The ones who succeed long term aren't the most gifted. They're the most consistent. They outlast everyone else because they've trained themselves to act regardless of emotion. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It's not coming, and it doesn't need to. What you need is the decision to be disciplined, to live by standards, not moods, to do what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. Because in the end, motivation will fade. But discipline stays, and that is what will carry you through every setback, every plateau, every storm, and into the life you were meant to build. Every single day, with every choice you make, you are constructing your future, not someday in the distance, not in a far-off idealized version of your life, but right here, right now, in this exact moment. Your future isn't waiting for you somewhere ahead. It's being built by your current habits, decisions, standards, and actions. The life you will live tomorrow is the direct result of what you commit to today. This is where most people get stuck. They believe they have time. They think one day they'll become the person they envision. One day they'll get serious about their health. One day they'll pursue that dream. Day they'll take control of their finances, relationships, or mindset. But the truth is, one day is a dangerous illusion. It's a delay tactic wrapped in hope. The only time that belongs to you, the only moment you truly own, is now. Future self doesn't magically appear. You don't become strong, disciplined, confident, or successful by chance. You become that person by the decisions you make when no one is watching. In the quiet hours, in the moments of resistance. It's easier to scroll, to delay, to retreat. You make the choice to act anyway. That's the moment your future is being formed. You've got to stop outsourcing your future to circumstances. Stop waiting for better conditions, more energy, perfect timing, or external permission. You don't need more time. You need more clarity, more urgency. Because once you truly understand that everything you do now is shaping the path ahead, you stop wasting time. You stop playing small. You start operating with intention. Every rep at the gym is a brick. Every healthy meal, every early morning, every book you read, every task you complete, every time you say no to distraction and yes to discipline. Brick by brick, you're building a structure, one that will either support your dreams or collapse under the weight of your excuses. The question is, are you building deliberately, or are you just stacking whatever shows up? The future is not an accident. Success doesn't sneak up on you. Confidence isn't found, it's earned. Fulfillment is not luck, it's built through aligned living. When you realize this, you begin to live with purpose. You stop measuring your day by how easy it was or how entertained you felt. Instead, you measure it by how aligned it was with your highest potential. This also means you must stop underestimating small actions. Too often, people overlook the present because they think it's insignificant. They think skipping the workout or blowing off a promise or wasting the day won't matter. But success and failure are rarely the result of one big decision. They are the cumulative result of thousands of small ones. Every choice is a vote for the future you want or the one you're trying to escape. Think about your goals. Maybe you want to be stronger, more focused, financially free, emotionally balanced. Ever it is reverse engineer that version of you. How does that person live? How do they speak, act, think, spend their time? Then take a hard look at your current behavior and ask, am I acting like that person today? If the answer is no, the future you want is drifting further away. Not because it's impossible, but because your present isn't aligned with it yet. Don't fall into the trap of trying to change everything at once. Transformation happens in layers. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Start small. Master your morning. Track your habits. Stay consistent. That's how momentum is built. And momentum, once activated, becomes the most powerful force in your personal evolution. You've also got to eliminate the habit of mentally living in the past or future. Regret and anxiety steal your energy. They keep you emotionally tied to a version of yourself that no longer exists or a version that hasn't arrived. The only place you can make real change, the only place where your power lives is now. Right now, you can choose to upgrade your standards. Right now, you can act in alignment with your goals. Right now, you can disrupt the pattern that's been holding you back. This also requires a deep level of ownership. You must take radical responsibility for your life, not partial, not conditional, no more blaming circumstances, time, environment, or others. Your present habits are either moving you forward or keeping you stuck. And if you want a different future, you have to become the kind of person who makes different choices today. And yes, it's going to feel inconvenient, uncomfortable, maybe even boring at times. But that's the nature of the work. Greatness is built in silence, in repetition, and uncelebrated effort. The results you crave won't come from dramatic, one-time acts. They come from the consistent daily disciplines that compound over weeks, months, and years. Your life is a reflection of the patterns you practice most. If you want different outcomes, you need to commit to different patterns, discipline, focus, integrity, action. These aren't things you tap into only when it's convenient. They must become part of your identity. When you start living like your future depends on what you do now, because it does, everything changes. Your energy shifts. You stop procrastinating. You stop blaming. You stop waiting. You become the kind of person who builds, not the kind who hopes. That shift is everything. When others look at your life months or years from now and call it luck or say, you're gifted, you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It was what you chose to do when it was hard, when it was inconvenient, when no one was clapping, was built in the dark. So here's the real question. What are you building today? Not what are you dreaming about? Not what are you planning to do someday, but what are you doing today? Are you aligned with the person you want to become? You planting seeds that will bear fruit? Or are you just hoping for harvest with no investment? Your future is not waiting. It's responding. It's being shaped by your actions in real time. Person you're becoming is either a product of design or drift, discipline or distraction, clarity or confusion. Make the choice now. Be the one who builds deliberately, who lives intentionally, understands that success is never random. It's the result of consistently choosing to show up when most people choose to wait. Because the truth is, your future isn't somewhere out there. It's being built in this very moment.